Since inception, Defense Unicorns has created multiple open source projects, normalized air-gapped software delivery, enabled dozens of critical defense missions.
We want to make software a strategic deterrent. It makes it easy for that time to value. It makes it easy for those updates on demand.
UDS Core satisfies 94% of NIST 853 controls out of the box.
Everything you see here can run exactly the same in the air gap in every environment. And if you were to take these exact same artifacts and put them into Harbor or Docker Hub, Quay, or any other registry, you wouldn't have any of this data.
Hey, welcome everybody. Appreciate you taking time for this LinkedIn Live event. I am Rob Slaughter, one of the co-founders and CEO at Defense Unicorns. And with me, I have Andrew and Jeff. Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, Andrew Green, other co-founder at Defense Unicorns and an engineer. Super excited about what we can do in defense. And with that, I'll kick it over to Jeff and CTO.
Hey, Jeff McCoy, CTO. Just building nerd crap here. Good to see you all.
Yeah, so today we're going to cover a couple things. The first thing is, if you didn't see, it was our 4-year anniversary this week. So Andrew wanted to take some time to reflect on the 4 years of growth at Defense Unicorns and all the things that we're doing across the defense community. And the other thing is we're super excited to announce a new product that we've had in development for the last couple of weeks in our UDS Registry. We'll talk a little bit about the why, and then Jeff will give you a demo of the current state. And with that, Andrew, over to you.
Thanks, Rob. So 4 years of Defense Unicorns, super exciting. We've accomplished so much, and it truly starts with nothing but gratitude to the Defense Unicorns team that have been with us over the past 4 years, the open source community, which we love being involved with and engaged with, and most importantly, the heroes we work with to serve the greater defense mission. That's effectively why we're here, why we're trying to do what we do. So what I wanted to share with you all today is just a couple of the highlights. This is not exhaustive by any means, but it's really kind of like looking back over 4 years, what are the big deal things, the big milestones that we've done as a company. The first, UDS is air-gap native. Zarf was created to build declarative packages that can be easily, repeatedly deployed to any environment. In 2024, last summer, Zarf was donated to the OpenSSF. Zarf effectively solves the complexity of air-gap software delivery, but it's not limited to just the air-gap. It's definitely a pillar in the UDS ecosystem. It's been used by dozens of organizations, oftentimes not even to our knowledge, because they found it as a useful product in the open source community. It's built hundreds of packages. We've deployed it thousands of times to, dozens of different environments. Zarf is an awesome thing to have, and super excited that we could have donated that to the OpenSSF, because that was one thing, not to speak for Jeff, but that was one of his big goals that he wanted to accomplish just in the community overall. So thank you to the Zarf team, the Zarf community for that. The next, UDS is secure. UDS Core satisfies 94% of NIST 853 controls out of the box, while the remaining 6% are organizational specifics. It provides zero trust by default, observability, IDAM, security insights. It can be deployed anywhere because, like everything we do in UDS, there are Zarf packages that are portable and declarative that can be easily deployed to any environment. UDS simplifies mission readiness. As we know, with secure software systems, the integrations is not always easy. How do I have zero trust? How do I have logging? How do I have SSO? How do I have all these different features that you really need to just have in a piece of software? How do I deal with certificates? So on and so forth. Pepper is an awesome tool that is definitely useful in more cases than just how we use it today in UDS, but it automates the integration of those software applications into the system, bring all the benefits of Kubernetes without any of the complexity. Because it's a part of the UDS ecosystem, it too is also air-gap native. All of these things together really drive towards what we are trying to do as a company, right? And that is serve the defense mission through non-vendor locked open source solutions that accelerate your ability to execute. It's a strategic deterrent. UDS makes it easy to deploy and operate what you need, when it is needed, where you need it, without compromising any of the things that we care about and need and are critical in defense. It provides the best-in-class solution for your mission to focus on what matters. Since inception, Defense Unicorns has created multiple open source projects, normalized air-gapped software delivery, enabled dozens of critical defense missions. For me personally, it has been incredible to see all these different pieces and parts and components that have come together in the last really year or so to create this UDS ecosystem, with more to come for sure, but this is an incredible evolution of where we've come so far. And with that, one of the things that we have iterated on over the last 4 years is our mission, vision, purpose statement that I'll kick it over to Rob to share.
Yeah, this it's always hard as a company to figure out not just who you want to be tomorrow, but who and what you want to do 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. And so the vision of Defense Unicorns, our purpose, our why, is to advance freedom and independence globally. But what that means, especially in terms of what are we focused on today, is really a defense mission. And what we mean by that is we want to make software a strategic deterrent. And what that means is the ability to update anything, anywhere on demand. If we can update and maintain software within adversaries' OODA loop, then we have the strategic advantage. What we see across the community is the exact opposite of that. We see outdated systems. We see time to mission value measured in years. We see difficult in maintaining legacy systems, difficult of integrating systems, both modern to legacy or even modern to modern systems. And at Defense Unicorns, we want to build and are building that foundational layer that makes it easy. It makes it easy for that time to value. It makes it easy for those updates on demand. It's realistic with the personas, meaning specifically that warfighters themselves should have the ability to update and maintain their own software. You should not have to rely upon a contractor to do that software update. That's the future that we are building together. And with that, that is why we have now updated our mission statement to be make software a strategic deterrent. With that, the next stage of our evolution was building up UDS Registry, so you have a place to store all of those software artifacts. There's a lot of reasons for why we built our own versus relying upon other folks and other tools. Of course, there's base layers that we build on top of. And with that, I'll toss it over to Jeff to introduce the world's UDS Registry.
All right, I guess someone's going to talk now. Yeah, so the UDS registry is, it's an OCI registry. So if you think Docker Hub, right, that's a registry for Docker images. Harbor is a very famous one that we've all used in Kubernetes world quite a bit. There's Zot, there's Quay, there's lots of registries. We have this thing at Defense Unicorns where we have to look to see what exists in the ecosystem first, because we don't just want to build stuff just for fun. That's kind of a waste of time, not efficient. And so late December or sometime in December, I started looking at this need because it was coming from our mission heroes. And it's an ability to effectively have your own air-gapped app store in your environment, but also for us to serve our mission heroes. One of the best examples of executing this that I found is actually ChainGuard's registry. It's very robust and has a lot of features to deliver value to their customers, and it's very configurable. And so we also reached out to them to get ideas about how they kind of built their stuff and learn from them a little bit. But we looked at a bunch of open source tools. We ended up not using some of the ones that were more built out, and ended up going back to like the base registry capability that kind of exists in all of these, and building on top of that, like Harbor, like Zot, like all the others too. And our particular need, especially, is because we focus on Zarf, OpenSSF Zarf, and all the registries, even though it's still OCI, don't actually know about Zarf or what it is, and we needed something that really helped our mission heroes to be able to catalog these Zarf packages and UDS bundles that are more than just a single image. Sometimes we dozens of images and Helm charts and manifests and configuration files and data, and ability to understand what those were and to get insights about those. So we built this, and this is, you're looking at the the not logged in version. But there will be, we're still working through some of this, but there will be full permission management and the ability to provide access to fine grained access to organizations, is what we call them, or namespaces if you come from the names the OCI world. But the idea is basically, I just logged in case you missed that. I was already logged in the background, but basically what that allows us to do is to give fine grained access to different organizations. I just listed them as org 1, 2, 3 here, and then we'll go through some of the features here. But the idea is that within our this system that we're going to host, this will be how all of our mission heroes and partners or system integrator partners access these Zarf packages, OCI images, the artifacts that we publish. But then also everything you see here can run exactly the same in the air gap in every environment. And one of the interesting things here compared to say Harbor is that this is extremely lightweight. The resource utilization is tiny. It's just a very, very thin layer on top of the core OCI distribution project. And so the foundation is rock solid, is what everyone uses, frankly. We've just built a layer on top to provide additional features and metadata and scanning and things that we need for both Zarf packages, but also OCI images as the need arises. But in this view, we're just looking at different, groups or named organizations with their applicable packages. So if I were looking for like who has Mattermost, for example, we could go through and click through that. But we'll just go through a few examples here real quick. So we'll start here so you can start to see some of the UI. And so some of the things we need to do, because again, these are Zarf packages. They are not just a single image. If I go to just the upstream image here, for example, this is an ARM64 image. It was built 9 days ago. And this is for Mattermost version 10.5.1. And we have this suffix UDS 0. That's just our internal packaging that we do on top because we have to bundle many things together. But you can start to see here what this thing is and how you would use this, the configuration for that, what it takes to build that Zarf package and the different components to that. And it's not all just manifest. Sometimes there's logic, as you can see here, like waiting for this status to be ready. And then you're going to see the SBOM. And the SBOM is interesting here because, and normally when you think SBOM, you're like, oh, yeah, it's like an image and here's your SBOM, which is already really big. But in fact, for us, we have multiple images we have to deal with. And in some packages, it could be dozens of images because they're larger packages like UDS Core. And so you do still have, the data you would expect to have, like, what is this thing? Where did it come from? Any annotations that might matter to you there. And then you can start to see more details. But I can also go and look for literally any file here and just see what those files are or where they're used. Where I could look by, license or all the normal stuff you'd expect to be able to have, you have here. Changes we're going to make here, we're actually going to be bringing the search bar up above the drop down here. Why that's important is because we want to be able to search across images in a package. Today you can't do that. That'll happen shortly. But then you'll be able to search across all the images within a single Zarf package or UDS bundle. Now, obviously, if this were just a Docker image, you wouldn't have multiple images here. But because Zarf bundles many images, sometimes we have to have that data. And then if you keep going here for vulnerabilities, again, this is the upstream image, so you can go here and see the details like you would expect for any CVE or vulnerability table. But what's a little more unique about us is because we have multiple images per package, we have to also tell you, well, which ones are impacted by that. So sometimes it can be multiple that are impacted. And so then we can go through here and we can search for, highs, just the high category. We can search for, words of muscle vulnerabilities, a specific one, a specific file, a note, anything that's all full text search, like you'd expect. And as you're doing that, just as an example, if I wanted to see are the curl vulnerabilities, well, yes, on this upstream image there are, right? And what's impacted here? It's the packages that are impacted, and then of course you can still, as you'd expect, go back to the source database to see what that thing was. I don't know that this image has any GH. Yes, it does, GHSA, but you could also go back to the GitHub advisory, see that information there. So the idea here is just to give complete, transparent, deep view into a Zarf package. Not just a single image at a time. That's pretty inefficient. But then as you go through here, as you're starting to compare these and you start to see the unicorn images, for example, You'll notice that as you're switching here, you're also changing what you're focused on. So what that means literally is you can see the difference between an upstream Zarf package and a unicorn Zarf package and the sources there, which as you can see for our unicorn images and this particular one, we're using chain guard for that for those images. And so as you go through here, as you're flipping through, you can start to see the difference between the different ones and what's being produced, including for this particular image, the no vulnerabilities. Um, and so as you go through here, the other thing to point out here that we're still working through that we want to get better at is like when you build bundles or this concept of bundles, which is a collection of Zarf packages. Let's say I'm only org2 here. I might want to start adding a few packages to a bundle. And as I add those packages, I can go here and produce that bundle artifact for those things. And over time, as we transition to also our tofu provider, this will be built in here as well. But some of the goals we have here is we want the ability to be able to drag and drop in your actual bundle you have right now, your UDS bundle, and let you know if you have out-of-date images or out-of-date packages rather, and any things that needs to be corrected there, or if your entitlements are missing, and say like maybe I don't have access to this for some reason, it could alert me saying, before you try to pull it, by the way, this doesn't work at all.
And Jeff,
And I
for
installed a note
folks
about
with gray hair like myself, can you zoom in a little bit?
yeah, yeah, I'm trying, but it's like, there you go. Is that better? If I go much bigger, my eyes might die. Can you see that okay, Robert, Ian?
It's better, yes, maybe a little bit bigger.
Okay, if we go too much bigger, we're not gonna have,
Good, good,
it's not
good.
made for mobile viewing.
There we go. Yep, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same stuff. So yeah, again, the idea is just giving you all the data that you don't have today. And if you were to take these exact same artifacts and put them into Harbor or Docker Hub, Clay, or any other registry, you wouldn't have any of this data. In fact, even though CVE scanning or SBOM wouldn't work because it's not a normal artifact, it's a much larger artifact with a bunch of sub artifacts. So the SBOM wouldn't actually show you all the details on a standard registry. But these are packages, in this environment, you see all the details because we know about we understand what Zarf packages are. We can break out efficiently, understand what those pieces are. But even going forward, like one of the things that we look at is for a registry, when you're trying to host artifacts in an air gap, there's not a lot of tools you have at your disposal. There's Harbor, and Harbor is pretty heavy. The resource requirements are pretty large. There's other tools like Zot. Zot's pretty lightweight actually. It's more of an up and comer. It's not hasn't done what adoption for us. It wouldn't work for what we're doing with our packages, obviously, but it has its features as well. But there's a very limited amount of tools you have available to you. So we wanted to build something that we could fully control and would give us all the things we need and that we could iterate on quickly. Separately, there's also a full API for this. So everything you're looking at is API driven. So the pieces, even the CVE counts, all those things that you're seeing are driven by that. And then one last point here on resource size, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about resource wise. If you go over to I'll try to make this bigger too. If you go over to the UDS UI and you look at the workloads here, the pod that runs the Zarf registry, registry, is the same one. It's running 0.13 CPUs and 27 megs of RAM. It'll be a bit more for this because it's a small layer on top, but the same registry that Zarf runs is the same one that we're looking at here. It's extremely lightweight and small. There's just a small layer on top that does some background scanning for things like CVE, and the SBOMs are actually pre-populated by Zarf at build time. So I'm going to pause there for questions. I don't think I have anything else to cover here.
While we wait for some questions to come in, just going to talk about a few things related to other things that we've announced before. So if you have questions, put them in the comments section and we'll try to get to them. But a lot of folks have been tracking the AirGap App Store that we recently launched. Expect the website apps.defenseunicorns.com in the coming weeks to actually just update to be, from a technology perspective, this registry. But the reason why UDS Registry is its own standalone thing is think about bringing that air gap app store in your own environment. So your own mission apps, your own corporate apps, your own program office apps, everything that you want in that consolidated registry. One of the things that we've struggled with as a company, and one of the reasons why we built our own registry, is some of the registries that we use weren't actually getting approved in some of the classified environments that we were working in, predominantly because of things like Chinese contributions. And so because we had this kind of dynamic shift of like, hey, in this environment, we're using this registry, in this environment, we're using a totally different registry. And it seemed very dependent on who the ISM and AO was. We wanted to build something that just universally get deployed, that was not only running under the hood of UDS, but that we could ensure that the packages that were supported were actually, fully integrated with UDS. And so if you've seen the things that we looked at in terms of the AirGap App Store, and you've been wondering, how do I have my own app store within my own environment? UDS Registry is exactly how we plan to deliver that today to not only our existing mission heroes, but everybody that we intend to support in the future. It comes with all things UDS. And so UDS Core itself is open source. UDS Registry, as well as runtime and some of the other things that we showed you, is actually part of our commercial license. And then also you might be asking yourself, how can I get my hands on this? How can I be an early adopter? You could actually go and register today for early access. There's a little bit of a backlog of people who have already registered, but we're going to put the link into chat right now, which is just defenseunicorns.com/registry. You should see in the comments section that link. If you'd like to get early access, please just fill out the information. Like I said, we already kind of have a waiting list, so it might not be immediately, but expect to have some access in the coming weeks. Thank you for ever put it on the screen. If you just go to that website, once again, it will be in the comments section, and we will, just as soon as you register, you'll be on the backlog of the list, and then we're just going to go in order of the folks that register and grant access to the people that register first. And with that, we'll look to see if there is any questions. Latisse, great hearing from you. To answer your question, how are you thinking about competition with cloud service providers that are actively pursuing seamless edge deployments? The CSPs have their own edge solutions. So AWS, Azure, others have their own edge deployments. In those solutions, though, they still have to determine what their platform layer is. And so to be specific, UDS is infrastructure agnostic. So let's say, for example, you have an on-prem deployment, a cloud deployment, and a tactical edge deployment. So excited to talk about all the things we're doing from a tactical edge deployment. But at the tactical edge, at those like snowballs and AWS's examples or Azure Edge solutions, you still got to figure out your platform solution. That is where UDS comes to mind. And so it is complementary to what the CSPs provide, but the value proposition is deploy anything anywhere. It's integrate once and deploy across those environments. So, most people have kind of their favorite CSP that they like to use. They've invested a lot of time. UDS is complementary to those solutions, but it also takes those solutions out to the tactical edge. Another thing that UDS does that we have not talked about before, we're about to talk about. So this is kind of a sneak preview, but the size of UDS can get smaller and smaller and smaller, and they get to sizes that CSPs just quite honestly aren't designed for, because they're designed to maximize efficiencies, to centralize management. And so as small as things like Raspberry Pis, UDS can go to, which is not really what the CSPs were built for.
Yeah, well, I'd also add first, hi, Latisse. It was surprising to me. One of our early people we talked to was at Microsoft for their Azure Edge work, who was experimenting using Zarf as well. So I think that there's the CSPs have they bring their cloud ecosystem right to you, which is your infrastructure, but it's not actually the platform. It's more the infrastructure system, and then what's surprising is like there's this, as Rob said, this natural complementary thing where you get the cloud system that you are familiar with, the Azure or the Google or Amazon, but then this platform also that works the same everywhere can just run on top of that as well. So it has been, I think, a pretty reasonable symbiotic relationship.
Well, thank you all for taking time with us. Expect a series of announcements over the next couple weeks, both on the product side and also from the new Mission Hero side. So appreciate your time. If you haven't yet, please register for defenseunicorns.com/registry if you want to be the first adopters of the UDS registry. And with that, hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Cheers.